Welcome back to Closing Time with Nick El-Tawil. I am still Nick El-Tawil, and I'm here with my guest today, Brooke Watton, aka Legally Brooke, aka Legally Brooke Esquire, because she's an attorney too. So I actually had another real estate agent on my podcast a while back, and we were just talking about agents who have the best branding, and he mentioned you, and it just happened to be like the day that I showed one of your listings.
Yeah.
So I took the clip and I sent it to you, and I just thought that was so cool.
It was cool. That's what people don't realize is what a even though there's 54,000 agents in
Hmm.
Arizona, what a small community the real estate community
Oh
is,
yeah,
especially for full-time realtors like us, right?
yes,
And I also think that that's so important to recognize. That's why I am such a strong believer in collaboration over competition.
hmm
I do. I think that it goes speaks volumes to the type of person and agent that you are, and
hmm
you're always gonna do better if you're building up your and supporting your industry colleagues.
agreed, agreed. I actually like real estate because I feel like all the real estate agents know each other. Even if you've never actually met someone, you see their listings, you see their name, you're like, oh, I know that guy. I
Yeah,
know that guy.
yeah.
And it's
I
like,
remember when you requested a showing, I was like, oh, I know him. I watched him, right? And when I reached out to you, I actually picked up the phone and called you. And how many people actually do that, right?
hmm
I mean, people should, but
they should. They really should.
people don't. And I don't know, we just had a vibe, and I was like, oh yeah, you just heard about me like 2 days ago. I was like, oh hey, I'm that girl. I'm that girl. And you're like, oh, I know that girl. I heard about that girl. Oh, that's you, right?
It's
And
just like high school.
yeah,
Exactly like high
100%.
school.
I
Real estate is high school.
100%. But when you do well and you promote others and somebody else tells you oh, I actually like her, she's smart and she's hardworking, she's a good agent to work with, right? I don't know, it's like a high school realm of this whole big pond of 54,000 agents, and then it's like, okay, now these people actually work full time, and these people actually care to be collaborative and call people back and pick up a phone. And I don't know, it's just kind of I view it more as like a layered cake.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And it tends to be the people at the top who are more collaborative, like you
Yeah,
said.
we saw that. We ran into each other at the Brokers Open
Hmm.
recently, right? And just super random, where we're both just at something that was only a Brokers Open invite only. You got the invitation because you have the highest view of a penthouse in Phoenix. It's amazing
Please buy it.
listing. Yes,
Please.
it's an amazing listing. And I know that because I've sold in the building as well, and I didn't have the penthouse, and I still thought it was an incredible listing. So I can only imagine, right? But it just brings it all back that I got an invite to that Brokers Open because that was my very first co-agent that I had worked with. And we had such a good relationship that we haven't worked on anything since. But I have gone to several of their brokers meetings to
Hmm.
learn more about what makes their brokerage unique, which is for that particular situation, architecture, right?
Hmm.
And they like how I put a spin on some of their really unique architecture on marketing and trending
They like
in
the fact
today.
that
Yeah.
you're making social media.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now you had a video guy following you around too the
Yeah.
other day.
Yeah.
Is that like
Not
you're
normal.
no, not
No,
normal?
not normal.
Okay.
Um
I go with Jensen pretty much
yeah,
everywhere,
yeah,
so
yeah. Oh, everywhere, right?
I go on a trip to California. Jensen, you're coming with me.
No, in that situation, it was my the broker's partner reached out to me and said, "Hey, we got a pink building. We know that you rep pink really well. You
As you can
always said,
tell.
yeah." And they always said I constantly said I owe you guys a favor because they were so, even though I had written I don't know how many contracts from, or excuse me, read contracts and advised the real estate board on how the contract should be written that you guys, realtors use. this was my first time where I was in the driver's seat and I'm writing for something. So I know everything of like what not to do, but like the logistics. And there was a mold situation. So I know how to sue people all day long when there is not mold that is, disclosed or found. And in this situation, I was like, huh. And this agent, I thought the world of. It was him and his partner, and they actually came to the inspection themselves as a listing agent. And they called me and they go, "Are we allowed to?" I was like, "Well, let me ask my client," but I think that's wonderful. There's only been two other times that somebody I and now I always offer it to the listing agent when I'm the buyer's agent. I go for transparency. I want you to hear everything that my inspector says. If there's anything that's wrong, like let's problem solve together, right? On the buyer side, I've only had two people in the last almost 100 deals that I've done that have allowed me to go to an inspection. And I will tell you, there were issues at this, and I was working with one of the, iconic Scott Jerson here in Arizona, and he came and we heard about it together. And I was like, "Look, I think that we're gonna need to do this," and he's like, "I agree with you. Like, let's problem solve." And both of our clients felt like it was such a win. I was like, I can't believe there are so many lawsuits that I've been dealing with. Like, this is the most easy thing ever. Everybody was so collaborative, wonderful. No. But they did call me and they said, "Can you do me a favor?" And I was like, "Absolutely. You guys were so great to me. Whatever you need." So I showed up and brought the camera guy with me.
That's awesome. That's awesome that you kept that relationship from when you first started, and you didn't burn any bridges, and you still work with those people.
Yes.
Even if you're not like directly working with them,
Yeah.
they're still your friends. You're still working with
Yeah.
them. Exactly like high school.
It's high school.
You had a class with that guy in ninth grade. That's my boy.
I know. I've known. Oh wait, didn't my videographer know one of the agents from ninth grade? Oh, sorry, inside joke.
So Brooke, where are you from?
I'm from Colorado, born and raised, native of Littleton, Colorado, and I ended up. So my grandparents were popcorn farm owners in Nebraska.
Okay.
I was a CU Buffalo, like I was a sorority girl. I cheered on my buffs for football.
Which sorority?
I was a Delta Gamma.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
If you said Alpha Phi, I would have said, "Oh, they're all blonde."
Oh.
All the Alpha Phi girls are blonde. That would have.
So yes, and what's so funny is I was a big tomboy growing up. I played soccer. That's part of like what my I guess
Soccer not really
is.
a manly sport, so you weren't that much of a tomboy.
All the soccer girls out there, let's don't key his car. It's okay. I like him.
I hope
usually.
Messi doesn't hear this. I love you.
But yeah, I actually played for the Olympic development pool. So I played with like old school, right? I'm old, people. What? I'm old. I might not look old, but I am. So I played with like Mia Hamm, Trisha Venturini, Brady Chastain, some of like the greats. I was in a car accident, and thankfully, I was always taught by my coaches that like intellect was always more important than your athletics. It was dual. If you want to go to college and you want to be a collegiate sports player, your grades are always going to get you. So it was like I learned very early, like I wake up early, I would work out, I'd get all my homework done. Like I was very regiment as of even when I was little. I share that because that's what's helped me in like both in law and in real estate. And I think it's so funny because I keep having people be like, "Oh my gosh, you're like one of the hardest working agents I've ever met." I'm like I feel like I like have such a wonderful like balance of like work life balance, personal balance, and I was raised, and that's why where I am. I like you look at all your background in New York, and like all of the that you learned intellectually and with that experience, right? When you're an associate and you get into like one of the best law firms, like I had a sleeping bag under my desk. I had my toothbrush and my makeup there. Like I cannot tell you how many nights I pulled an all-nighter. I would stay there,
So a lot of my clients when I was in New York were, lawyers who were
Sure.
associates,
Yes.
on that partner track, and they all said the same thing.
Yeah.
And then one of them, I think he rented an apartment for me. It was like a nice little check. It's like a 4K a
Yeah.
month apartment.
Yeah.
At the closing, he was like, "Man, I should have picked your job."
Yeah.
It's like you're having way more fun than me.
So that's why people keep saying, like, wait, you're a realtor and you typed in there an attorney? I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to bill every 6 minutes. I actually get to be compensated based on my work product and the results that I do as opposed to how much time I put into something.
Right.
It's just a different
time that's determined by the partners above you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But yes, Colorado. Then I went to law school in Nebraska because my this is where I was going. My grandma and my grandpa owned a popcorn farm in Lincoln, Nebraska. So I will tell you, I applied for 15 different law schools, none of which were Nebraska. Because how could I do that? I was a Buffalo fan. And at the time, because I'm old, the Buffs and the Cornhuskers were like huge rivals. I mean, huge. And I brought everything home. It was like a 40-minute drive to my house. I gave my mom everything. I was like, will you mail all this for me? She's like, are you sure you don't want to do Nebraska? Because her mom was wanting to have Nebraska farmland. And I was like, no, I can't be a traitor. The very first letter I got with a scholarship was to Nebraska to do both my JD MBA joint degree with a scholarship. I was like, what the bleep? Like, how did this even happen? And then I find out that my mom had literally taken my applications, took everything that I wrote in, ASU. That was like my big dream I wanted to get into. But I got a scholarship to Nebraska. I was like, F&A, now I have to actually go like check this law school out. It was a top 100. And yeah, and I met my husband, and then I got a job out here anyway because there's so many Nebraskans that traveled in Arizona. So since 2010, I'm a transplant in Arizona.
And you fit right in.
I fit right in, right? the blonde, the freckles,
yeah. So my grandma went to law school in like the 1960s.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's when there's like one of like 30, one to 30 men.
She
almost.
said she was one of 3 women in her class.
Wow.
But when she started working, she did not become a lawyer. She hated it too. She became a college professor and she taught law.
Yeah.
So at Central Michigan University, and that's what she did. But I think she was very disappointed when I dropped out of college and I chose to sell real estate instead.
So that's a big thing. And because I have almost every degree in the books, right? Like I've got my MBA, I've got my JD. I did become, and my husband is a PhD, all by dissertation. People will say like, well, what are your thoughts on degree versus, and I always say right now in this world, it's not about your degrees, but it's always about how are you continuing to grow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's by listening to certain podcasts, whether it's by co-listing, right, in our industry with somebody who's done things different than you, right? Like the biggest thing, my mom was an educator. She was a teacher, and she always said the one thing that somebody can't take away from you is your education. That doesn't have to be a formal education, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I excelled in that. I got paid to go, so it was like, why not just do all of that, right? But for other people who have to take out so many loans in this day and age, like there are just so many ways that you can really grow your intellect in that level and level up.
Yeah, I'm not too smart, but
sorry, didn't we hit you too hard? But you're doing just great.
But yeah, I did learn a lot. Just run around doing rental apartments. I probably have a master's in real estate at this point.
Well, question here. I'm gonna throw it over to you. So rentals over there, you got probably a heftier paycheck than the Arizona, average, depending. Do you still do rentals?
So I like rentals for landlords out here. Mm-hmm. Rentals for tenants, that's a favor to somebody.
Yeah.
Because they don't pay us at all for those.
So would it be? I'm. I think that is a you have like an elevated mindset from most people.
Hmm.
A lot of agents will say, "Oh no, I don't do rentals at all. Like
No,
it doesn't matter. I don't do rentals." For me,
there's no such thing as a small deal. It's all about the person.
right.
Like, is this a person that I want to help and I want to have a good
So
relationship
when
with?
somebody calls me and says, "Hey, I really need help. I need a rental." I have learned that a lot of agents will say, "I don't do rentals. I'm so sorry."
I usually
That's the first response.
I usually try and point people to rental buildings,
So here's
and
my
they don't pay
question.
me.
I say, "Why do you need a rental?" Right?
Yeah, of
What is
course.
it that
Your
you need?
discovery, yeah.
So last year I did 20 free rentals. I don't get paid by the landlord. It's more I'll give them advice. I say, "Let me review your lease for you." I'll do that. We'll sign a agreement. I got this year alone I've gotten 18 referrals from them. They
And that's why
refer,
you do them.
right?
That's why you do them. It's all about people. Hmm.
It's people over the transaction. Granted, I don't I have done rentals before and I have to go show, not that I have to. I am lucky enough to help somebody and I go show 18 properties. Like you're saying, you're only getting paid $200. I at this point don't have that time, but what I do is when somebody reaches out, I go, "How can I help you? I'm going to educate you. I'm going to empower you." Right now, most realtors can't even assist folks because most rentals aren't on the MLS anymore. They're mostly on Zillow. So I'm like, "What do you want? Let me help you figure out what your filters are. When you call me if you have issues with doing your application, and then once you get the lease, call me. I'll go through it with you."
Hmm.
So it does, and they are like so grateful, and it's a knowledge share basis, and I view it more as community impact or community service almost. And those are the people who build up and they keep my dinner flowing for on the table for my kids, right? Like they're going to their boss who's looking for like a $1.5 million buy. "Oh, I know somebody who's really, really great and they're nice and you're gonna like them."
Hmm.
So I was just curious because you came from that space. It's
Yeah.
different
We
in the New York space,
tenant
obviously.
rep, like you actually made money. Like it was like my second month in real estate and I made like 15 grand. And I was like, oh,
Jeez.
I can do this.
Oh my gosh, my first year, I think I made 30K.
Hmm.
People are constantly reaching out to me. A lot of friends
It's
are like,
harder here.
"Well,
It's
because
harder here.
I've only been an agent for less than 3 years." People
Hmm.
don't realize that. I've been in real estate industry since 2010.
Hmm.
Right? I've just been on the different side where it's like, if you
The
need to
not fun side,
the well, it was
the
fun for me,
the party killer
but the
side.
polar yeah, where it's like, "Oh my gosh, what should you not do in the real estate world?" Right?
Hmm.
And I know all of that stuff, but anyway, yeah, that's how I kind of grew it
Hmm.
quickly, was just helping anybody I could. And a lot of newer agents that go, "Oh, I'm barely getting paid." I go, "If you really want to get into the real estate world, you need to at least plan on not getting income for 2 years.
Hmm.
Unless you have, for me, I had a very large background of clients in the legal space. So I had that opportunity to reach out to people to say, "Hey, if you have any of your clients who are getting a divorce, hey, and your client's getting a bankruptcy, like I now can help, I can be that realtor that you guys need." Because I understand you don't need to spend all this time to explain it to me. Um,
So, since you're a lawyer and you've changed rules in the real estate industry before, I want to spring this on you. So,
oh shoot.
I think the industry would actually be better if like these big rental complexes that have their own leasing office, if they offered a rental co-broke
100%.
to, and then new agents could help people find those
100%.
rentals. It would help them get some income. I think it'd just be better for the industry as a whole.
It's such a short term view
Mm-hmm.
by these rental companies or
Mm-hmm.
these landlords that go, "Oh, I'm just going to give $200 or I'm not going to give any co-broke."
Mm-hmm.
Don't you want somebody who knows, who's working with a client? Otherwise, you have to do both sides
Mm-hmm.
as a landlord, right? So when I
Which they
have
don't.
somebody, if
They just
I
screw them over.
100%, and that's why like I constantly tell people, "Let me see your lease, and when you move in, you need to like contact me and I will give you a list." Most rental companies don't do a check-in list.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, hey, have you done a check-in list? And it's like, oh, no, I haven't. It's like, okay, we'll go around. Here's what your input list is. You need to put every single thing that you have seen that is of damage and write it down, and you need to submit it within 7 days. Otherwise, when you move out, you're responsible for it. Landlords don't educate the tenants. Tenants don't know they're supposed to be. A lot of people don't know how to read these legalese of a contract, and
I always told people get a video of the place when you move in
100%.
And
And
then-
when you move out.
and when you move out so that they can see the difference between
But
the two.
even as a
you got to
rental,
date it.
when you think about, especially nowadays when we're in a different market where it's a little, I know people say we're more balanced. I don't know what you're seeing, but for me, when I'm a buyer's agent, I get anything and everything I want pretty much.
So I think
Within reason.
I think like if you look at the market as a whole, it's like balanced, whatever.
It's
But
very hyper local.
yeah,
It's
it's
100%.
the stuff that's really, really good is still selling for a high price and quickly.
100%.
And the stuff that's anything less than perfect is just sitting.
And for my listings, I will say my last 4 I've gotten sold within 3 days.
Mhm.
My last 4. I have one that is $1 million. It took me 2.5 weeks, and that's after it sat on market for almost a year.
Where do you live?
I live in Gilbert, but
Was that listing in Gilbert?
no.
No. Where was
So
that?
I lived in Central Phoenix,
Mhm.
Arcadia, for almost 13 years. So most of my business is there or in Scottsdale. This was in Scottsdale.
Okay.
The average days on market is 98 days right now. I got it sold within less than 3 days, and it's because of the marketing that I did. The previous agent didn't even buy their own pictures. They used the previous agent's pictures, which is against the MLS,
Mhm.
requirements. They didn't do a video. You get 403% more views on Zillow, on MLS if you have a video, because the algorithm then supports you and promotes your listing more in that area. They didn't do that, and they didn't do any social media, and they didn't do any open houses. We went live. I sold something 2 houses down from them the same time last year, and I sold it within 3 days. And I had people coming, and I was like, I'm so sorry, to my open house, because I had already gotten it on contract on social media. So when people came to this open house that I had already prepaid for, I had a ice cream truck, and all the neighbors were coming, and I had invited 500 people. So when people were like, oh, we'd love to see this house, I was like, I can show this to you. This is not under contract, but go see the neighbor's house, right? Like, I'm trying to like service them. And again, they didn't sell it. And so my client just recently, I was like, you just need to trust me. I'm not asking for a cancellation fee. I'm not asking for a retainer. I'm going to do something bigger and different. Think outside the box. At this price point, are we looking at somebody out of state? Are we looking at a investor? Are we looking at a landlord? Are we like, what are we looking at? And then you advertise it for that.
You gotta be careful. Violate some fair housing.
Well,
Because, I mean, look, I get a listing and I'm like, no one with kids is going to live here. And I can't, legally, I'm not supposed
you
to say
don't
that.
say that.
You're not supposed to say it, but that's
But-
true.
But then
It's
you
true.
just do a different advertising structure, right? Like at one in Maricopa, I leveraged my kids, and we were like running around playing peekaboo because I knew it was family friendly. If it's
It's another one
the
of those words.
condo
You get sued here.
I could get sued if I'm talking about that listing.
No, you're not. You're fine.
But your listing, I mean, yes, there's some kids, but is it super kid friendly, or is it more of a?
You're talking about the penthouse?
Yeah.
No, kid.
No. That's my
no,
point.
people with kids aren't going to look for that.
So if you're going to be doing your advertising, your video, your open house, who you're going to pay to have it seen by on Facebook, etc., you're going to be looking for working professionals, probably travelers, maybe somebody who has like 3 or 4 different offices, right? Like,
Okay, so not to interrupt you, but I've been doing this way too long. So back in like 2016-ish, you could target exactly what you wanted on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, you can.
And it was a gold mine.
Yeah,
I
you
would
can
just
do
run
that.
ads like, oh, I'm going to target someone who makes over 250,000 a year, single. Like I'm like picking every single like anti-fair housing thing.
Yeah.
And then Facebook got wise
Yeah.
to that, and
Right.
they stopped letting us do that.
Correct.
And now all the the paid ads aren't even worth it anymore because you can't target who
So
you
what
want to
do you do?
target. You just got to do the natural reach now,
100%.
which is why I've
And
started working with
that's why you
Jensen.
do more of the different marketing strategies, right?
Mhm.
So so when when I sold there, I did it in uh building. I won't say the building because I don't know if you're advertising quite yet or not, but it in tower
Orpheum Lofts,
invitation. I had
114 West Adams Street, penthouse, on the market now. Just hit.
I had a skyscraper but telescope guy come from like a big place that you go into a to look at the stars, and I literally had this whole telescope brought up onto the because the views are incredible, right?
Hmm.
I had, acoustic guitar, and I invited every single person in the building, which you have to be very careful because are you selling them something like, or are you inviting them to a party, right? Like, so those kinds of things. It's a very adult based party. I had sparkling champagne and blah blah blah, right? But if it's a very super family oriented house that I'm like, even if it's a multi-million-dollar house, and I'm like, that's who I think is targeted, I have to use that in my marketing strategy. We have to do that now. You can't rely on just Facebook to decide who it gets to, right?
God, those were the glory days. Freaking glory days, man. I have like 30,000 followers on Facebook, and I don't even use Facebook because back in the day, that
So,
was what I did. It was the Facebook ads that were targeted, and people just
okay.
followed me. So yeah, my
Interesting.
Facebook's way bigger than my Instagram, but
Really?
I don't even use it anymore.
It's so funny for me because as an attorney, I was always taught like you keep all your personal stuff like blocked up, don't show anybody. So when I started 3 years ago, I was like, people hire realtors on like Instagram and social media, right? So I decided to do it for 90 days straight every single day, and I had
Hmm.
no followers. And I
Hmm.
didn't even use my personal one, which was like only 500 friends. I restarted it because I was like,
Yeah, you
it's
made a
got to
business
be,
account.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, every day.
Now
And
look
so
at her,
I
legally
know
Brooke,
my
everybody.
it works when you're authentic and you figure out your voice. It works.
So you live in Gilbert?
I do live in Gilbert.
I went to high school in Gilbert,
Of
and my
course you
parents still
did.
live out there.
Really?
Yeah, they live in Seville,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
my
Do they
so it's
belong to the country club?
no, they don't golf. They live on the
Oh.
golf course, and they've never golfed in their
But they just
lives.
like to view it and
Yeah.
have a mocktail or a cocktail. And,
So it's
yeah.
my mom, my dad, my aunts, my grandma, and then my grandma's brother, who's my great uncle, and his wife all live there.
Oh my goodness.
They're never leaving. They're
Okay.
like anchored to that
Well,
place.
now that your whole family like loves Gilbert,
Hmm.
since you tend to sell like higher end, Phoenix and Scottsdale and PV. If you ever need a Gilbert girl, I can be your referral.
Maybe. I was trying to get my brother, because my brother actually lives out there too. He doesn't
Is
live in
he?
Seville. He lives somewhere on Higley, somewhere close-ish.
Okay.
And yeah, I was trying to get him to get his license so he could like help me
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because literally when I was 18, my dad was like, "You don't need to go to college." Like,
Hmm.
and then my mom's educator is like, She just got a full ride scholarship. Of course she's going." Like, my dad's like, "But I have this beautiful business." He's a realtor. His dad was a realtor. I was like, "Daddy, I'm going to law school." And now I had to start all over here. And he's like, I could have given you the keys of the kingdom, right? Like,
Hmm.
even on social media right now, people don't realize this, but they'll say, like, "Oh, Bob sold mine, ditto," or "Bob sold mine, riff." My dad was Bob, and he was like, that was his big thing, was Bob sold mine, his brand. It was everywhere. And he was a neighborhood expert. And so even now, I have friends who know I'm a realtor that will call me and be like, "Can you give me an appointment with your dad? I know he's technically retired, but like, can you just set it up for me?" I was like, "Okay, I got you." But so that on Instagram or Facebook, it constantly will say like, "Bob sold my daughter," like, yeah,
I think all the life experience though helps you in real estate, even if it's not necessarily real estate experience. Like the fact that you were an attorney, there's people who are going to relate to
yeah,
you just for that,
yeah,
right? And there's people who are going to relate to you for going to school at Nebraska all
Yes.
the things that you did were not real estate related, you're going to have people who relate to you for that.
Yeah.
And you learn things from those
Yeah.
experiences.
So my dad was actually a insurance adjuster,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to look at how fires started, and he decided to start it at 35,
Mm-hmm.
and then he blew up. And so he always said he felt like the realtors who really added more value had an additional experience. So even right now, because I have grown so quickly, I had to hire help. And I found one of my best friends that I met when I was, I have now created several startups. So treating this as an actual business and viewing it as I'm an entrepreneur in this new industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are just like, what do other people do, right? Like I get it. For me, I have worked with I don't know how many different entrepreneurs creating their LLCs and helping them formulate their businesses. I was like, I don't want to fit in or be good because I have to fit in a mold. I'm going to shift and be a game changer, and that's how I'm going to fit in. That's the only way to explode for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what did I need? Well, one of my biggest weaknesses is the technology side. So, my partner, who, when I was at
Do you
this,
not know how to write an email?
no,
Am I-
I'm very good. I mean, I'm an attorney. I can write that stuff all day long. What I needed to figure out was the systems, right? Like, I wanted to have, as soon as I close something, it's like it sends it out. Uh, cute closing video, and a month later here's blah, blah. So I have all these ideas, but when you get too busy, it's like I need somebody to implement it, and I need somebody who knows AI. Well, one of my friends who helped me with this startup, she used to work at Waymo, and she was like one of the directors over at Waymo, and then she had a baby, and she's like, I don't know if I want to go back. I was like, great, let me hire you. Like, and so now we got her license, and now she's effing killing it. She's brought me like 3 listings in the last week. And I was like, okay, great. You're going to have to go do it because I'm too busy. Like, let's just do it together. But it's so fun to be able to, when you work with people who have a past and bring a really specific, I don't know, different skill set, whether it's, I mean, you went one of my friends. He's a realtor. He's got the GC background. This girl has like the technology background and utilizing AI. And for me, it's like the law background or whatever it is. I just think that it's so helpful. And like also, one of the big things that I believe in is knowledge sharing, right? So if somebody calls me, I have newer agents who call me all the time. I really have older agents. So yesterday I had a 20-year agent who called me and said, I have a client who has this situation. And of course, because I'm an attorney, I have to say, I can't represent you. You are not my client. But
Yeah.
if I were in that situation, this is what I would be looking at. Right? Like it just
Mm-hmm.
when you can add value to your colleagues, to your industry colleagues, to your clients. I don't know. I just feel like that's the way to practice business. Good
Agreed.
business.
Agreed 100%.
Cool.
Now I heard you got sued.
I did.
That's a great transition from that into, hey, you got sued.
Okay. Yeah, you want me to just delve in?
I think I know some details, like you were the legally blonde realtor when you started, and now you're.
Yes. So, again, because I have worked with several entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
and giving them advice on how to go to market, when I decided that I was going, even before I got my real estate license, when I started to take the classes, I was like, huh, they don't have legally blonde realtor or legally blonde real estate trademarked. I was like, well, I'm a blonde. I've been called legally blonde my whole life until, well, it was like in 7th grade. I was like the 4.0 high achiever rate. So people just called me legally blonde because I fit that mold almost.
Wasn't Legally Blonde dumb though?
No.
And you were.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't. I thought it was about a dumb blonde.
No,
Oh.
it's about a very intelligent, brainy blonde.
Oh.
And the reason why it's so fun is it's to show that you can be brainy and beautiful, and it doesn't have to be like mutually exclusive. You can. So why I loved this movie, and most people I feel like love this movie, is because it was somebody who was so outside of the box. And why it's so funny is because when I went to law school, it was so similar. So when I was in my first year law school classes, it was like the contract teacher would be like, okay, you guys, there's 6 books in the library. You guys are going to have to rent it out and figure it out. And you guys each have to come prepared on Thursday. This is a Tuesday with an analysis for such and such. I mean, it was like 150 pages you have to read. Most people would go and they would rent it out from minute that we got out all the way until that class. Because in order to get a job, you are ranked if you're number 1, number 2, number 3, right? So people would literally try to sabotage others. So Elle Woods was very empowering. She was constantly trying to like help her classmates and her colleagues. And literally, I was one of the ones who got one of those books, and I made copies for myself. And then I made 10 different copies, and I put it up front at like where you check out the books. And so even today, I am still friends on LinkedIn with the librarian because she's like, I've never seen anybody do that. I was like, well, people always say it's really hard to get these. So like, you don't have to, you can still empower other people. And that ended up helping me. I had some health issues when I was in law school, and people appreciate that, right? So it's like, you just have to like, if you don't have to compete based on being like a dick, basically. I don't know how else to say it, but you can still empower and help others, and then it just comes down to your intellect, to your hard work, and to your creativity, in my opinion. But yes, I did get sued. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah. Wait. So you got sued.
I did
and
get sued.
you had to change the name Legally Blonde.
Yes. So MGM Studios decided. So I had my trademark for over 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long you need to have it.
And you would know.
And I only had like 6,000 followers. It's not like I'm like a big deal or anything.
Right.
But I got sued by MGM, and it was like a 200-page. It wasn't like a cease and desist letter. People are like, oh,
it was an actual lawsuit.
No, they literally filed a lawsuit. It was a 200-page pleading. They had hired 8 outside counsel of like the best law firms, and they sued me because I'm an attorney. I was like, holy F, what is this, right? So I brought it to one of my old colleagues that's a trademark attorney. She goes, don't worry, Brooke, like, you are solid. You have had your trademark. They had their opportunity to fight this. Now, it's probably going to take us $1 million to defend this, but you're golden. And I was like, what? Like, I did this in order for people to like remember me and my name easier. This is not something that I have $1 million like stored up for this. Like, that is not the purpose. So then I hired my trademark attorney, and we're negotiating with MGM. And why I found this out is just so all you Legally Blonde fans out there, there is going to be a TV show this summer. So they are now. They are now.
Are you allowed to say this?
Well, Elle Woods, Reese Witherspoon did like a social media.
Okay,
update,
so it's public knowledge now. Okay.
Like 3 months, 4 months, I don't know how long ago, but yeah, it was very interesting. So it was so hard for me because I had grown so quickly using this trademark that I had worked really hard and I paid for and I protected, and I got sued. And then they were like, you can't use blonde, you can't use your name, you can't use legally, like. So we're still negotiating a settlement agreement. But
it just sounds like bad timing then.
It
was like,
did. And I
because if it weren't for that show.
But what's so interesting is I have now connected with so many Legally Blonde realtors, lenders, actual attorneys, paralegals, like anybody on social that has gotten big and used this. And most of them don't have trademarks, so they've gotten sued, but it's easier for them than me, which I actually follow the law, and yet they were harsher on me because I was more protected, right? So always interesting.
Well, you're still branding yourself really well. You're always wearing the pink, and even that pink building, they invited you. They wanted you to be there. So I love your
know.
personal branding. I love how you leaned into
Thank
it.
you.
And I've loved that you dreamed of going to ASU. Like, who does that? Who dreams of going to ASU?
So ASU was like, when I graduated, it was like a top 50 of law schools, and I loved Colorado. Gosh, I love Colorado, and I was a snowboarder and a skier, but I was so over the cold,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So where do
You
you
can
go?
go visit Colorado.
Yeah, I'll be a snowbird, and but no, Arizona was always where I wanted to be, and yeah, I came.
Dreams do come true, everybody.
Dreams do.
They do come
Take
true.
it
You just
from
might have to get sued by
Legally
MGM to
Brooke.
get there. All right, Brooke, you got anything else for us today?
I don't know. Okay, well, let me ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
You said you liked the pink branding.
Mm-hmm.
For a male, what does that communicate to you?
To me, it says you're leaning into your feminine side.
Yeah.
And I've actually been on the lookout for a pink jacket like this.
We
They
need
do
to
not
get a pink jacket,
they do not
folks.
make men's pink jackets that are nice. Like I cannot find one.
Okay, I'll send him one.
Suit Supply doesn't even have that color in their like rotation. It just doesn't exist. So
So the reason I asked that is when I started, I don't know how many people were like, don't start as a realtor, you're already an attorney. You're a transplant, you don't have anybody here. Why are you gonna be advertising pink? Everybody's gonna think that you're just an idiot. I mean, I've been told that from everybody, but what I found is more of my clients are actually male based, and pink to them communicates a boldness and taking ownership of like being different. Because I will tell you, when I was an attorney, I was told wear black or blue. I was told to dye my hair brown. Do not slick it back. Don't wear makeup. If you're too good looking, nobody takes you serious. Again, I think it's so funny because everything I was told, I was like, I'm just gonna do what my gut says.
yeah, in the real world, it don't work like that. They wanted you to be a minion, not a free thinker.
Yeah.
And now look at you.
There you go.
I love it. Brooke Watton, everybody. Legally Brooke. I'm Nick El-Tawil. Thank you for watching.